I got it. RC's got a random factoid for us. What's that? The Eiffel Tower gets taller in the summer. When the iron heats up, it can be up to 15. That is hilarious.
Oh my God.
Interesting.
I know. So my favorite Eiffel Tower, I've been several times to the Eiffel Tower. My favorite Eiffel Tower story was taking my kids to Paris, and we went to the Eiffel. They wanted to go, I think, on the first night we were there. So we go to the tower, and every way that you could normally get in is like blocked off. And finally, I go up to this police officer who's standing in the park, and my French is terrible. You should know this. I used to be reasonably fluent, and now, but I haven't used it in a million years, and so I'm like that. So I ask the police officer, and he says something like, um, a crazy person, and I was like, what is going on? So we go around to the front, and someone is rappelling down the Eiffel Tower, and he's just like climbing down. He's dancing on all the different platforms, and you have like the Eiffel Tower apparently has like an Eiffel Tower SWAT team, because you see all these like people dressed in black like rappelling down, and they didn't. The guy like got all the way to the bottom before they got him. So I mean, he was really low down. So that
Whoa.
I know, right? It was so weird. You couldn't believe. Like it felt like a movie thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was really crazy. Barrett is alpha reading a story for a friend and loving it. Ooh, very nice. And thank you about the music. Mary is working on the hooker book, but I also have a book idea called Asshole Repellent, which I think a lot of people could use.
Indeed.
I think you're correct. I think you could do a whole series with that. You could have like just general asshole repellent, then you could have like dating asshole repellent, I feel like that idea has legs, Mary. Okay, so Susan says my version about how she became a snake-headed woman, so all about the humanity of her and of course tragedy and vengeance. Love it. Love, love, love. That is super awesome. Right? All right. Let's go ahead, you guys, and get started working on our first 20-minute sprint. Let me share my screen here. Dun, dun. I'm going to make this nice and big. Okay, everybody. So let's get going. You guys can do this. We are feeling mighty, mighty productive today. I have good, strong vibes about what we're going to accomplish today in this stream. All right, everybody. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Fantastic. How did everybody do on that last sprint?
I did pretty great. I'm on a roll here.
Really? Okay, well, that's good. Well, we'll keep the chit chat to a minimum and then get right back into sprinting pretty soon. We have some good questions today.
Oh, good.
Let me get one. This one I just had to do. This was not a question. This was a question I got in person, but it made me think of this. I didn't originally plan to do it today, but it made me think of it when we were talking about asshole repellent. So, do you think it helps or hurts if an author has a big ego? What do you guys think?
Ultimately, I think it hurts. I think to pursue publishing, you have to have like a balance of enough ego to be like, hey, people should pay money for this story that was inside my head.
Right.
Enough humility and humbleness to accept all the inevitable rejection and criticism that's going to come your way. And if you just purely have a big ego, you're not going to take that rejection very well.
I think your answer is so spot on. I think I think you're exactly right. You need both a big ego so that you can withstand all the crap that is publishing. And also you need some humility, so you can continue to improve and, just because it's important, there are lots of.
Oh yeah. And like taking criticism and like actively applying it and getting better.
Right. And if you just have a giant ego and like, it's already awesome, it can't get any better. Exactly. It's harder to grow as an author throughout your career, for sure. Robert, you were about to say something.
Harder to grow. I've been with some pretty big egos and they don't seem to grow at all. It only helps if you're really good, or maybe have an editor or somebody who's on your side who's just a big fan of your work and thinks your ego is well deserved. But mostly it hurts you.
Yeah.
And I think you get yourself into a lot of trouble with a lot of people because a big ego is displayed and confidence is exuded. And I think there's a fine line between the two.
Yeah.
That was a very nice turn of phrase, Robert. I really like that, right? Confidence is exuded. And what was the other part? Arrogance, ego
is displayed and confidence is exuded. And, yes.
I love that. Sorry, I had one of those moments where I was like, wait, what was the original? Look, squirrel. Yeah. So I think this is another interesting question. Good answers, you guys. Question 2, what time of day is best for writing and when do you write?
Morning.
Robert, morning.
Sorry.
Yeah. Morning for me too. Sure. How about you, Robert?
Morning is best for me. I mean, it varies from person to person. So I don't think there's a set thing that you can go from writer to writer because you have to try it. Some people are more relaxed in the evening when everybody's winding down and find that their best time. But the morning, is that for me because the world isn't up and getting started and you can just do your thing.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that. I think even with the same writer, when I started out, I was definitely more creative and productive later on in the day. And now I find that if I don't start writing until 3:00 in the afternoon, I'm kind of wiped out. Like I really don't, that's just not the best time of day for me to write. So I do write a lot.
I think that's the big difference. At night, you have all the thoughts of the day and everything that's going on. And in the morning, when you get up, after you've slept, you have a lot of thoughts and it's easy to jump on whatever is happening in your day or what you need to take care of. But if you push that aside and just let your thoughts play with the writing while your mind is fresh, I think that's the best time for ideas.
For me, for sure. And I will say, if you're not sure about what time of day is best for your writing, one way to test that out is to just keep a spreadsheet for 2 weeks and write at different times of day and write in different places and keep notes about, did you have a headache? Were you hungry that day? Were you listening to music or were you listening to nature sounds or the beach? And just see after 2 weeks, look at that spreadsheet and just say, okay, looks like I'm really productive here. My word count's always really great when I write at 10 o'clock in the morning, or if I write in a coffee shop or I do this or that. So it's really good to have that data. Really, really good to have that data.
It might surprise you. You might end up being more productive at a different time than you thought you you know.
That's the thing. When I first started writing at the beach, I would write at the beach on Fridays as a reward if I made my word count for the rest of the days of the week, right? But then I started making a spreadsheet and sort of just looking at where I was most productive, what time, etc. And I realized I'm way more productive when I write from the beach. I write like 1,000 words an hour at the beach consistently. And then I was like, why am I doing this one day a week? I should be writing out there every day. So I still write best like outside. And so Dana is here. First time here. That 20 minutes was super productive. Yay! We're super glad to see you. And also welcome. We are very glad you're here. Techno, thank you very much. We're super glad you are here today. Malin, will you tell us how to pronounce your name so that we're not saying it incorrectly? Just give us a little I am like having trouble with words today. I kept telling this to my kids, like I would write all day and they'd ask me a question, and later on I'd be like, I'm out of words today. I don't know what it is. Happy time zones to you. We're very excited. A space opera romance dubbed Space Princess Project. Love that. Fantastic. 750 for the day. Awesome goal. Very nice. Dana, we are so glad you are here today. All right. So Mary says, fine line between confident and cocky. I think you have to have a lot of confidence to think what I have to say the whole world should read. I think there's some truth to that. I do think you have to have somewhat of an ego or you just won't survive in this industry because it can be really challenging.
Yeah. Confidence, I think, is what most creators that I've talked to and were honest got them their job, because when they got to the point where they were confident in their ability, then they all said it felt like they just were in the right place at the right time and things fell into that groove. Ego, you could go in and display it all over the place, but if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have confidence, it's not going to serve you as well with most people.
This this is not me anymore, but this was so me in the past. I feel like I never thought that my sort of natural rhythm would change so dramatically. And I don't know if it's like maybe it's the pandemic. I don't know, but I'm more of a morning person. But I feel that was me for years. I love caffeine. Me too, baby. Sweet tea. In my season of life right now is I write when I can sneak in a session between housework and kiddos. That is how a ton of writers. I mean, there are many, many books that have been written in the carpool line because that's when you can fit that in. I keep doing something, I think, with the little headphones I have in my because like for whatever reason, like the song from the timer does not show up in my headphones, and so I have to have like this little extra, but I keep doing something that starts it, so I'm not quite sure. Like, so every 3 seconds it's doo doo doo. Okay, love it is. It's like one of my favorite places to write.
I have never written at a beach, so one day I'm going to have to give it a shot.
I know, right? Now I don't. Now I will say, I normally do not take my whole laptop down there. I have my Kindle and a keyboard because obviously, you don't want sand in your laptop, and I would like to cool off and all that. But I did take my laptop when I was going to finish the hockey romance book I just finished last week, and I was like, okay, I'm desperate, and I need my beach, and I need my actual laptop. Like, I was to the point where I couldn't do it on the Kindle anymore at the end. Morning writer in the summer, evening during the school year. Look at you. That's nice. I love it. All right. Well, if you go full time as an author at some point, morning for you. All right. Let's go ahead and get back to our sprints. We have another interesting question coming up after this. Let's see if I can actually get us over to the screen. There it is. All right. So here we go, everybody. We're going to put another 20 minutes up on the clock. And I'm super excited because I feel like you guys are going to just kill it in the sprint. Here we go. Ready? 3, 2. It stopped. 1. Let's cha-cha. All right. We are back, everybody. Very nice to see you. How did everybody do on that last sprint?
Still doing very well.
Yay. Let us know in the chat how you guys are doing too. I think we're like knocking it out today. I think we're going to get a couple more in, hopefully. Very, very nice. So how about you, Michelle? How'd you do on that last one? Oh, you're muted. Hold on. There you go. Sorry. Go again.
Taking care of some little tasks. It's good.
That's good. Very good. JC is here. Hello,
Hey.
JC. We are super, super glad to see you. Missed you. We love you. Yeah, good. All right. We're very, very glad everybody is doing so well today. Techno took off for lunch. Dana had such a good little thing here. Love taking my laptop when we go camping so I can park myself at a picnic table among the trees. I love that. I just interviewed oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on her last name. Jill. I hate when that happens. Anyway, she like lives out in the mountains somewhere and she basically just hikes somewhere with her laptop every day, which I think is super, super cool. So love that. Love that. Love that too. Aw, thank you so much. We miss you too. So here is an interesting question for number 3. I thought this was really funny. How do you ask an author for an interview?
Why does that feel like, how do you, like, if you give a mouse a cookie?
It could be. My theory behind this is that almost every author will say yes to an interview because we're always trying to get the word out about our books. And so I think most authors are pretty open to doing that. It is kind of funny too. Like, you'd be surprised if you're willing to ask how many people will say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the best advice I have is to, it's not just asking them to do an interview, but giving like a personalized, like, show that you know what you want to talk about with them.
Right.
So that, you know,
yeah, so
context for it.
Exactly. So they know it won't be a waste of their time, that you have some plan for what you're going to do with that time that they've given up. I totally agree. I will say, on the flip side of this, excuse me, now that I've launched my fancy podcast, I'm getting a lot more I'm getting a lot of pitches actually, which is awesome. But I had gotten pitched by a debut novelist who told me that they really like my podcast, which is always a good way to start, right?
Yes.
You always tell the person, "Oh, I love it." But then she said, "I would love to be a guest. I feel like it would be a great match for my target audience." Wah, wah, wah. That's the wrong answer. If you're pitching to be on my show, or you're pitching to be on some other podcast, some other show, some other radio show, whatever, you want to show the host or the producer that you're going to be a good fit for their audience, not the other way around.
Right.
So that was just like a little newbie thing, but I thought, I'll just bring that up. That's a good learning opportunity for all of us.
Yeah.
So it's good. All right. Shannon says most authors are open to being interviewed. True. I've asked a lot of them for my podcast. If not, usually they're really busy, like one was having a baby. I'm just trying to think of, like, during my times when I've had babies, if I ever, like, how close to baby having did I ever do interviews? I don't know. Anyway, Dana says, if I know an author is connected to someone who I had on my podcast, I'll send a link to the episode when I ask for the interview. That is a really good way to handle it, Dana. Really nice. Very nice. I find in general, most people are pretty open. And a good time to hit up an author for an interview is right when they have a new book coming out, because they want to promote it. They want to be. So pay attention to that. That can be a really great opportunity for you. All right, you guys, it's 20 after. I feel like we might be able to cram in an extra word sprint if we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's do. I feel like everybody's like, oh, I'm so productive today. And I love that. So let's go ahead and get another one in today. All right. Here we go. Who's ready to write? I'm not writing, but I'm actually being super productive right now. So I am, like I said, I'm doing social media assets for my new book. Here we go, guys. Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Let's sprint. All right. How did everybody do on that last one?
Good.
Good.
Fantastic. All right. Me too. Tons done. I was just reviewing Jane Friedman's publishing hot sheet, which is such a great source of information. And one of the things I thought was really fascinating is there's an article about how publishers are using data to decide what they're going to publish. And I feel like this is just sort of an expansion of, for a long time they wanted you to have like a big platform, and I think that they're now sort of looking for like hard numbers on that. Have you
Mhm.
guys have you been seeing that as well? Anybody who's pubbing traditionally?
I'm sorry, something just popped up and I was like a little distracted.
No, it's okay. I just thought it was interesting, like that they're using data in it's sort of a different way, where they're gonna sort of analyze your platform other than you just saying like, "Oh, I have so many people on YouTube or Instagram or whatever." I thought that
Oh,
was
who's okay? Wait, publishers are doing that?
yeah. So okay, I'll go through
I'm
the
so
whole
sorry,
thing.
Lisa. I got
No. No. Okay. So this is the thing. So publishers are starting to use data to decide what it is that they're publishing. They and so if you have a platform, it's going to be super helpful when you are pitching a traditional publisher, if you plan to do that,
yes.
to let them know what the insights are for that data. So yes, you have, they're just going to pay more attention to like how many Google results are there for this? Are
Oh,
the how is the author able to connect to the reader? Who will buy the book? And there are things that they've always talked about, but it seems like there's a lot more focus on using data and even AI to sort of decide what to do. So I
interesting.
think, yeah, I think that's interesting. I do think it's probably just more of the same, like, well, we would like to make sure this book is going to be a guaranteed success before we put any money into it, which
But
is
like,
hilarious because if you knew it was going to be a guaranteed success, why would you give them any money? Why would you
Mm.
let them publish? Why would you keep it all yourself?
it's such a chicken or the egg thing. Like, guys, it's not going to be a success unless you put money into it.
right,
Come
right.
on.
Yeah, exactly. They already know what they're doing. It just seems like another stat for them to look at that's going to be miscalculated because okay, they look at any of our channels. What do they know about the subject we may be writing about as opposed to craft? If we're writing a craft book, they might say, okay, great.
Right.
Otherwise, how do they analyze that?
Yeah, it's kind of I know, right? And well, and I was just interested reading an interesting article in the New York Times about an author who was like a big, oh my God, what's his name? He just died. I'm really having a problem with names today. He
Oh.
just died, guy, author, like great novelist, but his first 5 books were failures commercially.
Mhm.
And the New York Times article it basically was saying, this is a guy who maybe would not have had he came along sort of at the right time, but that inability to sell the first 5 books probably would have precluded him from selling the 6th one to the publisher. So, yes, it was Cormac McCarthy. Thank you so
Cormac
much.
McCarthy, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Matthew says, I just got a robot to write my book description. Can I post before versus after robot
Oh,
rewrite?
please. I would
Yes,
love to see that.
please.
Yeah,
Please.
I'd be interested.
So very funny. I am seeing a lot, like as much as we're like, oh, AI, and I'm certainly as terrified of AI as we all are. Although I feel slightly more like secure because AI is not funny. And so because I write romantic comedies, I go, oh, I have 10 minutes more safety than, than everything else. But yeah, but what I was going to say is I find it really interesting that a lot of people that I know that I would not have thought would go into this are like, oh, I'm going to just try this to see like how it works with outlining. I'm going to do one of my one of the friends in one in the romance author mastermind group that I'm in had taken a chapter, like the first chapter or several different chapters of her book, and asked Chat GPT like 20 times or 25 times, who do I write like, essentially, to say, and why. And
Mhm.
Chat GPT said, oh, this is like Sophie Kinsella because of this and this, or this is like this person Carly Fortune because of this and this. And I thought that was really a unique use of it, and also a fantastic way to sort of figure out the sweet spot of where your audience is.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
I think that they would be using this in terms of numbers, because it all breaks down to numbers. So
Mhm.
it'll be stats and engagement. Stats being the popularity, and engagement on how we engage with our audience.
Right.
So example, I don't have big numbers, but I comment and I engage, so I may do well on that. Somebody like Alexa Dunn might do well with numbers, but she doesn't engage with her audience hardly at all. So
So a lower score for her than you on that
so we're all
particular
going to
one.
break down in this different way for them. And if
Yeah.
they're looking for that perfect thing of like big numbers and engagement, then that's a different thing that we all need to look at.
Well,
Yeah.
and you just don't even know. I mean, here's the thing, that's like the size of your audience doesn't necessarily translate. Certainly, when I worked for the publisher, a lot of times we would look. Like, one thing that was interesting about Ocean View is they really did not care about the author's platform. It was much more about whether or not they liked that book and whether or not it fit in with their list. So in that way, I think they're kind of throwbacks in a good way.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, just as like the PR person, I would get excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, so and so has 100,000 subscribers on this, or they have this big mailing list, or they've got whatever. And that's where you really see the engagement, because a lot of times the people with, 5,000 highly engaged fans outperformed somebody with 100,000 poorly engaged fans.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
They're just collecting people, but they're not actually engaging with them. So
Mm,
I mean, I'm sure there's an algorithm somewhere that will predict, but
yeah.
and it is the job of businesses to make money, so it makes sense that they are trying to hedge their bets a little bit. But
Yeah.
my thought is they'll be more profitable if they give money to real writers and not like celebrities. But okay, so all right, here's our description.
Oh, he's saying, I think he's
Is this the
typing
wrong
again.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said it was different.
Okay, here's the before. Well, I'm going to wait till we do this. Actually,
Yeah.
we're going to do one more. Oh, we don't have time for one more. I got all excited. I'm like, we're doing it. We're ahead of our schedule. Okay, let's do this. So have you guys, besides Matthew, who's posting us right now, because we already know the answer is yes. So in our chat today, has anybody used AI for marketing activities or plotting activities or anything like that?
No.
I'm fascinated. Fascinated. One of the things that I notice with AI book descriptions, and I can usually tell, well, either that the person doesn't really know what they're doing or that an AI wrote it. But one thing about AI book descriptions is they tend to summarize the book rather than selling it. And your point of a book description is to get people all hungry for the book. All right. Okay. So Shannon says, I've used AI for many, many things. I'm curious. All right. Math says, no, thank you. Lainey, I've used it to suggest town names or to tell me beats typically found in XX trope best-selling romance novel. That's really great. It's interesting. So that's it, like gathering information and research. I used Jasper, which is like ChatGPT, but like a marketing thing, to come up with possible hockey player name, like nicknames.
Yeah. Oh.
Which was mostly just like a fun exercise, but there were one or two of them in there where I'm like, "Ooh, that's good. I like that. I like that one." All right, JC says, "No freaking way." Okay. Matthew, I am super confused. Here we go. This is before. Grace Gray has a secret. She's the only known real life superhero beacon. though most know her only as a police tip line operator. After losing a loved one during her first major defeat at the hands of a supervillain, when a laboratory experiment goes wrong, creating a homicidal Beacon clone who threatens to tear the city apart, only the real Beacon can stop her. Can Grace overcome her tragic past, reclaim her reputation, and save her beloved city? Dun dun dun. Okay, that's good. I know, right? I'm all right. We've got afters coming up for Matthew. I think this is good. This is a compelling one. I'd love to see, as long as we're talking about, I'd love to see like perfect for readers of blank and blank. So because I feel like that helps readers sort of figure out, will I like this? Ooh, now this is an interesting use of it. I recently asked ChatGPT to help me rewrite a blurb for SEO optimization. So, right, you want to write it for humans so that real readers are going to be compelled, but you also want those real readers to find it. And so, yeah, that's interesting. All right. Liara, this is fantastic. Liara of Rowansdale. It's so fancy. I love it. I love it. You say I once when I had accidentally written something in simple past tense and I wanted it in simple present. It was perfect for that. Very nice. That is good, right? Because that's something that a robot could find, but humans, like you have to go through 18 times. I accidentally wrote part of a chapter in past tense for a book that's first person present tense. And I swear I went through that thing 1,000 times and I was still finding, that, a little past tense.
My very first book, it was that IP book, I Heart Band. And I turned the draft in and I wrote it in present tense. And my editor very apologetically was like, our imprint, it has like a past tense only policy. So I had to redo the entire draft.
A robot would have been great in that scenario. Although I was just reading something on Twitter. There was like a Neil Gaiman thing where someone had said that one of his books was being published in I think his first book was being published in the US, and they had changed the language, the spelling of words like color to remove the U and things like that. But they also changed some words that are common to the UK that mean something different in the US, namely flat. And he, which, obviously means apartment in the UK and flat here. And they just did like a search and replace without context. And so in the book, apparently there was like, he looked at her apartmently without responding. And then there was some other like apartment instead of flat, which was but it was like which should have been flat. So I thought that was interesting. Okay. Here's after for Matthew. When a clone threatens to tear her city apart, can a failed superhero rise to the challenge? Grace Gray has a secret. She's the only known real-life superhero Beacon, though most only know her as a police tip line operator. After losing a loved one during her first major defeat at the hands of a supervillain, Arson, Grace hung up her suit. But when the laboratory experiment goes wrong, creating a homicidal Beacon clone who threatens to tear the city apart, only the real Beacon can stop her. Now, Grace must overcome her tragic past, reclaim her reputation, and save her beloved city and herself. Oh, here we go. If you enjoyed the thrilling action of Marissa Meyer's Renegades, you'll love the intense suspense and heroic journey of Grace Gray and Beacon, the hero of the Heartland. Very, very nice. Well, I have to say, I don't think the robot did a bad job.
No.
There's a really... Go ahead.
It's a little scary. The robot kind of did a better job. That question up front is exactly what Saul Stein would say when you're summarizing your book. Pose a question that demands an answer.
Exactly. Right. That was really well done.
Yeah, it really was. And right, you have like a nice version of the stakes. And then what I said is like, it's always a good idea in the description if you can sort of help the reader kind of triangulate like what kind of book your book is by giving them 2 other books or a couple of other books. And so I love that the ChatGPT did that too.
Yeah.
So, oh God, it's coming to get us, you guys. It's just coming to get us. JC likes the first one. I think that's funny. Oh wait, that was my okay, very good. Nice. Oh, we have another one, I think. Hold on. Okay. I think I don't think I can manage the chat, especially with 3 minutes to go. So I think what we'll do instead is say there are probably some uses for it, and it's getting scary how
Mhm.
it is good at some things, not so good at others. So yeah, I do think the whole Reddit thing, which has implications for writers as well, because again, this is AI learning on human, uh,
Yeah.
communication. Yeah, I think that whole thing is pretty fascinating as well. Plus, who doesn't love sexy pictures of John Oliver? All right, you guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Let's go ahead and do our outros before we go. Michelle, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little about you and your awesome channel, please.
All right. Again, sorry for being scatterbrained. But Michelle Schusterman, I'm a young adult middle grade author, currently writing a horror novel. And my channel is writing blogs, traditional publishing chat, and workshops. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Robert Jones, thank you so much for being here, Michelle, as always. Robert Jones, tell us a little about you and your awesome channel before we go.
Well, Story Detective 2.0 will be coming soon. And it's where I take my experience as an artist at Marvel and as a writer and various other forms of storytelling and put it under a Sherlockian microscope and break down the craft for the viewer in hopes of making their craft journey easier. So stay tuned.
Very nice. Love that. Oh, this is such a good stat, Shannon. Only 20 to 30 people have even heard of ChatGPT, which is so funny because I feel like I hear about it 87,000 times every day. Totally agree with you, JC. Human writers are definitely better. Definitely better.
Yeah, it could be a tool, in the way that set that up with the question to give you a comparison on ideas. I mean, if there's ideas there, it's not going to make it perfect in time. Who knows? But
Definitely. Well, thanks so much, you guys, for being here. I'm Lisa Daly. If you want to write a book you're super proud of and get it published, this is an awesome place to start. We will be here next Wednesday for our usual writing sprints at 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. on the West Coast, if you happen to be in Michelle's time zone. All right, you guys, thanks so much for everything. We will see you next week. Bye.